people who have appointed themselves experts who are not experts.
You mean like Ian? I don't think he appoints himself an expert in anything.
Who's that other dude who thinks he's an expert on Churchill?
Oh, Daryl Cooper does not think he's an expert.
Well, I'm not capable of debating this historian, but I'm going to just tell you what I think.
Yeah, but that's not exactly what Daryl was saying.
When he was offered to debate the current greatest living biographer of Churchill, he said, I can't, because he knows much more than me, and I admire his work and I've learned from it, but I can't possibly debate him. That's Andrew Roberts. But if you say, I've decided that Churchill is the bad guy in the
That's not what he said. That's not what he said.
I believe was the way
He also
put it.
said on here that he wasn't anti-Semitic until the Holocaust. There were no speeches of Hitler's in the 1930s.
No, again, this is
No.
I'm sorry, because maybe I'm misunderstanding what you're saying. You're saying people that I've had conversations with have downplayed the Holocaust. Well, who are the two guys? Daryl Cooper,
Cooper, and the other
Ian
friend of
Carroll.
yours,
I've never podcasted with Ian Carroll. I have podcasted with Daryl Cooper once. And he absolutely did not downplay any of the Nazi atrocities at all.
Do you decide to go, hey, what else have we been lied to? Maybe Churchill wasn't a great guy. Maybe Hitler wasn't such a bad guy. Maybe the Holocaust, etc., etc.
Nobody is saying that. No one is saying maybe Hitler wasn't such a bad guy.
You are saying that.
No
if
one's
you're
saying
saying
that.
that
The basis
he
of
and
this.
these other guys are all doing the anti-Churchill stuff now.
But he's not doing an anti-Churchill
Okay,
stuff.
he and the other people in the orbit I'm
Churchill was
describing.
the author of this whole Operation Unthinkable, right? Where they wanted to use the Nazis to invade Russia. Wasn't that Churchill? Is that not true?
If I'd have been running the British Empire in 1939, I'd have known exactly how to do it, and I'd have known how to hold the whole thing together, and I'd have kept Stalin back, and he'd have been great at Yalta. And like, this is...
But I don't think anybody's saying that.
Yeah,
You know all about this as well. You say, I'm not a historian, but I'm going to spend my time talking about history. I'm not a journalist, but I'm going to spend my time talking about this thing. I'm not an expert on this, but I'm going to spend my time talking about this thing. It's a weird move, yeah?
No.
It's a weird move, yeah?
No. Everyone I hear on the inside says we're about to attack Iran. I think you just said something about that the other day. Am I wrong about that? I thought I saw in one of your interviews that you did.
Possibly.
No.
Okay. That doesn't mean we are on the verge of a war. I mean, you keep referring to we being in wars. There's a very big difference between a country having a military that's engaged and a country being at war. This country has not been at war for 25 years. You have not been fighting for the American homeland for 25 years.
Yes, we haven't. That's true.
Right.
We haven't had a war
Right.
on our shores. We've been picking on third world countries halfway around the world.
Well, you haven't been randomly picking on them. I mean, Afghanistan, you went
I didn't say it
into-
was random.
Yeah.
We've been picking on third world countries halfway around the world.
Well, you haven't been randomly picking on them. I mean, about this move from I'm an expert on this and I have views to I'm a comedian.
I've never claimed to be an expert on anything.
This is the problem, Joe. I mean, if somebody
Wait a minute,
says...
you have to claim to be an expert on something
No,
to have
it's-
an opinion on something?
And it does not mean that every single one of the sewer gates should be lifted. Okay?
What?
Yeah, I get that
But
point.
Right.
who's saying it should be?
It's a bit weird to be simultaneously saying, I'm not an expert on a conflict, and talking about it everywhere.
I don't think so. Not really. I mean, I don't know. I don't think like
I don't know.
I don't see how you
Do
can't
you
have an
talk
opinion
about
on
these things?
Which things?
All these things that we're talking about.
Some of them, yeah.
Are you an expert?
I am on some, yes.
On some,
But
but
you talk
not.
about some that
But
you're not
some
an
are
expert on.
You'll
Right,
notice
so
that I
what should you
didn't
do?
just... you'll
What
note-
should you do if those subjects get
Isn't-
breached?
Well, I think that you educate yourself as much as you
Shouldn't
can.
you say I'm not an expert and then give your opinion if you're
depends.
in the middle of a conversation?
I think it's, as I say, I think that it's a weird move to say, I'm not an expert on this, but I'm going to talk about it nonstop. And yes, everyone is free to air their views, but it does not mean that everyone who sounds off on an issue, whether it's World War II, the war in the Middle East, the war in Ukraine, has an equally valid point of view. No.
I certainly wouldn't argue. I mean, that to me is just batting down a straw man. I mean, I certainly wouldn't argue that everyone has an equally valid point of view. And
Is that there's a heck of a lot going on that America is frankly not really involved in.
Well, that's
And-
certainly a straw man of my position. I'm not
no,
saying that
I
America
know what I'm
is...
saying. No. But what I'm saying, he lies to the world, and he decided he wanted to gobble up Ukraine because he wants to reconstitute the Soviet Union.
Assert that,
He
but-
invaded because the thing he's dreamt of since he falling down to the Soviet Union is.
Do you know
wants
how he dreams?
His dream is, as is said many times, is the reconstitution of the Soviet Union's territory.
Us luring them into Afghanistan played a huge role in weakening the Soviet Union. It came with the minor little price tag of 9/11. But okay, that's but you know that's
the Soviet Union did not fall just because of Afghanistan.
no, I didn't say. I said it played a role. I didn't say it was just because of Afghanistan.
Thing.
No, 2014. This was a major provocation toward the Russians that we backed this street protest against the democratically elected government there, and
that's again, it's tricky because the Maidan protests were genuine students in the center of the city who were uprising against a corrupt government.
I'm
But
sure
you're,
it does,
you're
yes.
saying that like we'd lose our mind if anyone tried to interfere here. There are lots of people.
But I
who
wasn't
tried to
saying if
interfere here,
anyone-
and the most obvious one is Qatar. The most obvious one is Qatar.
Didn't you write a big piece when the war in Ukraine first came out titled something like, I've been to Ukraine and they can win, they can repel the Russians? So you could go there and still get it wrong, right?
No, I was with the Ukrainian armed forces in 2022 when they were retaking territory from the Russians.
Right, the last time they had any advances, yeah.
Yeah,
right.
I said I can see how they can win, which would be advances like that, yeah.
You
Sure.
said if we just fund them, or if we just arm
I
them,
didn't
that
say
they can then
I said,
they can
I
repel
said that
them.
the Ukrainian army was making great successes, which it was when I was with them in the fall of 22.
Okay, listen,
Imagine you've read all the people who say that Gaza was a concentration camp, and you probably think that too. Am I right?
I mean, again, literally a concentration camp, it shares a lot of similarities, I would think.
Wow. Because you said you do think it's a concentration camp. Because there is no intention on the Israeli side to cause the death of non-combatants.
These plans, he said later in an interview with Piers Morgan that he had seen the plans at first in 1991, that they came from Paul Wolfowitz, that basically then they got, what's funny about what the four-star general said?
It's okay, go and continue.
No, I'm just curious, what's laughable about this?
Paul Wolfowitz is a great figure for almost any deep conspiracy in this country because he was a Deputy Secretary of Defense at the highest in his life. He is forever being ascribed almost supernatural power.
don't think anyone's
The highest position he ever got to was as Donald Rumsfeld's deputy. And it's a very strange thing always when Wolfowitz's name comes up because he was a relatively low-level person to whom almost everything can be ascribed. And
Well, I
find it
didn't
strange.
describe, again, this is
Anyway,
such a straw man. I didn't describe everything to him. I'm literally telling you what I'm telling you what the four-star general said about him. And I wouldn't say
Paul
Deputy Secretary of Defense is like a nothing position. It's a pretty consequential position.
Not as important
And
as Rumsfeld or Cheney, but yeah.
yeah, agreed. But who said it was?
No, fire on.
I just feel like you're batting down straw man. I never said that he is the creator of all conspiracies or anything.